Hi, guys.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Adam Anderson.
And I am Carrie Anderson. Welcome to this week's Whole Life Entrepreneurship Facebook group live. Adam, where you been? Where you been? You've been places. What you been doing?
I'll tell you what I haven't been doing. And certainly I haven't been home helping with the family and the children. No, ladies and gentlemen, I've been to the British Virgin Islands where I've spent the last 6 days getting to know all the various ministers and all the folks recovering from the hurricane and talking about how do you rebuild a brand new economy from scratch that isn't dependent on people in the islands. So we were talking about the digital economy. I had an opportunity to help open up an innovation lab. And yeah, looks like we are probably going to move a company there.
Pretty cool.
It's been so cool.
That's pretty cool.
It has been cool.
And that all spurned from your making the decision several months ago that you were going to jump on the Virgin Unite team.
Yep. So we went down to the Necker Island. We did that thing, and now, fun fact: one of the things that you need in order to do the digital economy is security. So you have access, safety, and education. So they're like, how do we do this? And they're like, hey, maybe we should hold a global summit on how to maybe form a global cyber court that all folks could be a part of. And so we're going back to Necker in a couple months with some of the world leaders of cybersecurity, cyber law, and law enforcement. So that'll be a fun trip.
You have a really cool job.
I meant it to be that way.
Yeah. You have really built this with a lot of intention. Like from the bottom up, huh?
Not too bad, Adam. Not too bad.
I'm so glad that you did that all by yourself.
Yep. Sometimes empire building is best done as a solo adventure. But I couldn't have done it without my support structure in my community.
You're really getting off brand.
I know. I thought you were fishing for a compliment and it made me not want to give one. My emotions got in the way.
So this was one of those weeks where it was really, I really have to just kind of give credit to the fact that this lifestyle makes it possible for us to be flexible. My dad went into the hospital this week. Nothing too major. He was having some complications from a blood pressure medication that he takes that had caused some kidney damage, and so we had to admit him into the hospital to get all of that leveled out. And so it was about a 4-day process, and I was here by myself, and he lives about 45 minutes away from us. And so luckily I have my village. Everything fell into place. Unfortunately, there's a lot of the business aspect of it that has piled up over this past week, so we've got some catching up to do.
Or not, because another wonderful thing about this lifestyle that we're living is every single one of the time frames and timetables we have put upon us and all the expectations that we have set, we set them. So
that's very true.
We get to be like, no, life happened, push everything back 30 days.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, well, let me talk to your boss. Let me talk to your boss. And I'll be like, hello, this is my boss. Hello, you talk to boss?
Yeah, that's very true.
It's more effective when it sounds more like a duck and I have a sock on it.
Hello, I'm the boss.
So anyway.
Sorry, guys. Well, what I talked about in this week's blog,
Monday post.
Yeah. Yes, our Monday post was the concept of how to take emotionality out of conflict. So this is something that we talked about when we were at our conflict resolution training,
Yeah.
But it's something that you and I have kind of tried to implement in our own family business meeting, right? This idea of, let's come to this as if it were a business, and then every problem we hit, we'll address as if it were a business problem, so that we both know that we're
Yep.
going towards the same goal, and it's not always personal. Like, we just gotta still move towards the same goal.
Yeah, it can be personal,
My
right?
hand's right here.
Hey. That was nice.
Would you agree with that statement that the family business meeting
So,
kind
yes.
of has that same
Mhm.
that same feel to it?
Yeah, the thing that's cool about the family business meeting and about being intentional is that it's not that emotion is gone, it's that we don't let emotion run the show,
Right.
right? So we say there's a board of directors in your brain made up of your mind, your body, and your emotions. And emotions get 51% of the vote unless your body and your brain are on the same page, right? Your body and mind. And so being physically ready, because you're aware and you feel like you're reacting.
Right.
Well, don't let that run away with you. If you get on your mind and your body on the same page, then you can let the emotion be fuel to help you have great conversations and passionate conversations, because we do not want you to have this kind of life.
No, not at all. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah, and so
because would you, loaded question.
loaded potato.
Would you say that I'm still an emotional person?
So emotional. Oh my gosh. Yes. Is that a bad thing?
I hope not. I
I don't
hope
think
that I
it
haven't
is.
changed myself really in
Yeah.
order to come to these things.
Well, I don't feel so. Getting back to what you were saying, I don't think a lack of emotion is a good thing. I think you need to have a whole lot
Yeah.
of emotion. And the beauty of the family business meeting, or the beauty of being focused on topics, so topic focused rather than emotion focused,
Okay.
is that we can have this thing, and you may be like, and while we're at it, I'm like, no.
Steer it back.
Nope, we agreed that we were going to be talking about this. And what you were saying is very important. We will schedule a time to follow up on that. And if you need to, we'll go. So it isn't necessarily the family business meeting removes emotion. It just focuses the conversations on topics
Laser.
so that when emotion does come up, we're able to say, does this help us with our topic at hand, or do we need to address? And
We have like a lot of sound effects tonight.
Pew, pew, wow, wow.
I was expecting you to do something. You just stared. I had no way out. The system is down.
I asked of the group this week how they themselves felt like. There's the shiny spot. There it is. I asked of the group this week how they would rate themselves as far as how they managed to keep their emotions in check. I asked, are you someone who is very good at keeping your emotions in check for the most part? David Denning. Teach us your ways. And then the other was, no, I let my emotions run away from me and it gets me in trouble. Or like, emotions? What emotions? Or do you know that you struggle and you want to get a little bit better at being able to bring what you feel to the table? Because I also know people who don't really stand up for themselves because they don't know how to express it. So I was curious, where do you feel like you fall? Because I kind of go between, and Leslie said this as well, like, it depends on the day. It kind of depends on the circumstances. It depends on who my conflict is with. So I was curious
Sure.
how you felt like you came to things.
Conflict is much more direct for me with everybody on the planet except for you. You, it's different, where I think I have fear that if I don't bring the thing in the right way, that I am going to cause issues inside of our relationship. And because the relationship is super important to me, I kind of tiptoe around. Where I'm at now with like other relationships, especially business relationships, I very, very much compartmentalize. Like, you are a part of my life in this way, and you must serve the purpose that you are providing, or you're out, right? You are not. You're like everywhere.
I permeate all things.
Yep. And so it's very difficult for me sometimes to have constructive conversations with you, because it's not just plus minus one, it is plus minus one times X, all the different things. And so when we have these conversations, you know, I feel like both of us are in the middle of checking in on ourselves and saying, is this emotion I'm feeling towards you really towards you, or am I bringing in like this and the other? So
yeah, and I think do you think that just came like over time?
No, I feel like...
Or you think it's really intentional on
No,
our
we
part?
absolutely trained it.
Yeah,
it was
I
not
think so,
something that just passively happened. We're like, oh, look, it's been 7 years. We're good now.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good thing, though, right? That we're careful. We're careful with each other, and it's not that we're avoiding things. I think it's that we're just... Was that super hot?
No, it's like I avoid things.
Oh.
I do.
You do. Well, he does. But I do think that we're just being careful with each other because we know each other so well. Nobody wants to hurt anybody.
No, it's not a matter of I'm afraid of what might come. It's you're important enough to me that I want to be able to bring my best self to you and make sure that I'm not just vomiting the emotions that I've been built. Like, so this has been 2 very difficult weeks. Carrie's had to be Army of One at home in like so many ways. Schools with the children's and the things and the arborist. She canceled the arborist. We're gonna have trees falling everywhere and this, and then the list went on and on and on. And then in the middle of all that, her dad's like, that's a dramatic reenactment, wasn't the same thing.
It was a lot meaner than that.
And then while I'm over here in the BVI, yes, it's fun, but like 4 or 5 heavy conversations a day.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
And so we come back, and thank goodness last night when I landed, we were too tired to talk.
Yeah.
And now, like today, we're both like, both of us want a break. Both of us are feeling like we've been redlined for a whole week, and we keep looking at each other like, hey, are you putting the kids to bed? Are you gonna do this Facebook Live? Because I'm still in bed and I'm not wearing a bra.
Speak for yourself.
Very well. So yeah. So that.
Well, and I think when you're coming into conflict and you're thinking about how you're coming to conflict, I think you have to take all of those circumstances into account. Especially if there's a little temper flare, you have to have a little bit of grace and even a little bit of resignation that, maybe you were a dick. You know,
like you?
I mean,
like being self-aware?
Sometimes that is the case. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's me. It's about, don't elbow me.
I'm not trying to, girl.
I just looked at the thing and it was like an elbow.
Look out!
Yeah, so I definitely think you have to be a little bit aware of the fact that circumstances, you know, like when we're traveling together and we're so tired, the kids are so tired, everybody's grumpy. It's like, just wait it out. Just wait it out.
We keep saying we choose joy. That's something that we've been saying lately, is like you can react however you want. Consciously just choose joy. I'll choose joy. I was not choosing joy today. Today I had a whole lot of stuff happening, and I tried it like 4 times while I was driving. Finally, I had to crank up the music and start lip syncing Hamilton and trying to make my kids laugh. So that was important.
It has to be that intentional. You have to really work at it sometimes.
Choose.
Yeah, if you're going to bring an emotion, surely joy has got to be the best one to bring.
That's a cool point you just made.
Yeah.
Maybe you're on the roller coaster and you're not going to be able to escape a flood of emotions. Maybe you can just change the color. Maybe you can just change where the source of that emotion is coming from and open your perception up to, you know, hear all the great things. Like, here's what I was thinking about. I'm like, I've been gone for a whole week. My kids have been in trouble with me for the last hour, and I'm driving them to a place and it's absolutely silent in the car, and it's my fault.
Yeah.
I can choose to feel better by getting angry and blocking all of that. And I know I can find 7 or 8 more things to lecture about.
Right.
But instead, I'm kind of, okay, which way am I going to go? I don't want to
shut down, which is something else that tends to happen, which then it shuts down for everybody.
Well, that's what happened, right? I was in the middle of a cone of silence.
A cone of silence, which is nice sometimes, but everybody's got to break back out of it. So when you're coming to conflict, I think it's definitely it's not that emotions aren't important. It's that they have to be managed to the end purpose.
So, in the way you manage those, right, is you are intentional ahead of time.
Yeah.
When you're in the thick of it, it's really difficult if you haven't already trained it. So the brain is wonderful, but you can program it. And we've talked about beliefs in the past. We've talked about perception in the past. And those are the things that will program your brain on how it's going to trigger emotions. And so the only reason I feel like we're better at being able to pull out of an emotional tailspin is that we've done the prep work on being aware that it's triggered based on beliefs, and if I'm feeling this way, what truth am I telling myself that I need to analyze that maybe it's not based on real fact, maybe it's based on a fact filtered through my perception. And so when that emotion is happening, that's a hormone dump, right? There's all kinds of chemicals. So without being intentional to let another chemical loose, what did we learn? That was the cortisol gets dumped, and now you're in this fight or flight, and then that stays in your system for I can't remember,
like 72 hours or something crazy.
Yeah, like days plus if you don't do something. And actually, the reason why it stays there is because it makes it so that every little thing continues to fire cortisol.
Right.
So now you're doing a seeing negative because you're in a negative mood. That's kind of what I was looking at. It's like, I'm gonna find 10 more things to be angry at these kids about. And more boom, 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 boom. And so without taking responsibility and being self-aware that you're on a emotional roller coaster, and doing the prep work of understanding beliefs and perception, it's like you have no shot.
Right. Well, and I was talking with a friend of mine earlier about the Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram and all those things, and I was very shocked that my Myers-Briggs and my Enneagram were very similar. But it's taken me a couple of years really to fully digest those profiles of me, because the first part of all these profile things is they paint all of the wonderful things about that particular personality type, and then they say everything that is wrong about that personality type.
However, this is why your family hates you.
This is why you ruin the relationships you're in. And you're like, dang, it's cold.
Dang, it's cold because it's true.
But it is true. And so sometimes now that I've even read it, and I'm like, I think initially I was like, that's not me. I don't do that. I think now that I own that information and it's in my head, now I can kind of say, oh, that's what they were talking about.
Snap.
That's that self-sabotaging behavior. That's that thing that I do. And it is in line with that profile. And it's kind of scary that something can predict your behavior that accurately. But it's also such a great tool just for awareness, to kind of be able to, even if you don't get ahead of it, to be aware of it in the moment and be like, oh, I can work on that.
Yeah, I love them because they're talking points. They're discussion starters, but they're not permission to act a certain way, right? They're like, hey, this is how you show up when you're not conscious about showing up, but it doesn't give you permission to say, this is just the way I'm in. I'm Myers-Briggs XYZ W5, right? Nope. No. That's supposed to help you hold a mirror up to say, look at how you're acting, this is where it is, and then you can work backwards from them and say, why do I believe what I believe?
Well, and one of the things that I like about the Enneagram specifically is that it can even tell you a little bit about what a healthy version of whatever that type is. And so you can kind of see, ideally, you could have your own superpowers if you were in a healthy state. So that's kind of an interesting thing too. I saw this week this thing that I might delve a little bit more deeply into in the weeks to come, but it was a really interesting thought process, and maybe some of you have come across this as well. I'm interested in knowing your thoughts on this. But it's this idea of there's this 5-part cycle to get you to anywhere that you're going to go, that tells you how you get to places that you already are, but also plan for how to get to where you want to go.
I have no idea what you're talking about. This is fascinating.
Five things. your circumstances, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your results. If it's true that your thoughts cause your feelings, if you believe that those things are true,
Sure, I do.
believes that circumstances are not always stuff that you can control, or that your results based on your circumstances are things that you can't always control, but you can control your thoughts. So if you wanted to change where you are, where you're going, if you want to plan to go somewhere, so you have some big, I want to lose 15 pounds, then that would be your results. And then you would build backwards with your circumstances being your variable, and that's how you would get to success.
Interesting.
And so it's a really interesting kind of mindset. But the only thing in all 5 of those things that you really can control are your thoughts. And everything else can kind of fall in line. So I thought it was really interesting. So I don't know, maybe we'll look a little bit more into that philosophy in the coming months. But is there anything else that you'd like to speak to this week? I'm hoping that we can post Sadie's video tomorrow finally.
It's ready.
It's ready. Whoop, whoop.
Yep.
Awesome. And then we will be sending another one of Ellen David to be edited soon, and then we'll have that one to kind of post as well and share with you guys. What else is happening this week? Are you here? Are you here? You are here this week.
I'm here this week, and then we go camping with a
The Wojos.
Yep. We're gonna do a WLE retreat
Into the woods, into
In
the
the
wilderness.
Yep. We have been talking about an in-person retreat coming up, so we might be asking questions about that. Just hey, let's get some folks together. Let's do some kind of meetup, either virtual or in person. But yeah. Honestly, I'd rather hang out with you guys face to face and high five everybody.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Absolutely. Well, this week we are talking a little bit about the common things that both a business owner and a spouse, whether that spouse is involved with the business as a full partner or even just a little bit, the similar feelings that those two parties are experiencing within this lifestyle that we're doing. So that should be fun. Should be real good times.
It's gonna be good.
I know you guys are just so excited about talking about more feelings.
Hey, actually, it kind of is, right? Oh, something cool is we're putting together a WLE virtual summit, and we're lining up really, really cool speakers. We got someone to talk about money. I talked to him a little while ago, and he said something interesting. It's like, look. Couples would rather talk about their differences in sexual preferences than money.
Yeah.
And it's like, money is so rooted in how you were raised and what it's like money is a weather vane that says so much that if you don't approach it in a really interesting way, in a really intentional way, whoop. So he's got a 7-part system and how he goes through that. We've got a couple other guys who have written books on various subjects. One of them is about the boardroom in the family, and we haven't locked down what the lineup looks like yet, but it's really cool. We're trying to put it in the whole thing that where the WLE is a lighthouse for really smart people to talk to each other, and so we're looking for really cool people with really fun things to say.
And you guys are our first cool people.
Except for that guy. You know who you are. You know who you are.
Well, we're going to wrap up for the day. Be on the lookout.
We're going to wrap? Yo, when there was a... Never mind.
That didn't go as smoothly as I'd hoped it would. Hope to see you guys interacting throughout the week, and thank you for everything that you share on the daily with us. Keep it up, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thanks.
Hey, no more rapping.
No more rapping.
I apologize.